Raven and Ester were about to go into Noah's Diner, and Chris York pulled up in his 1993 Toyota Camry. And they were impressed because this car looked brand new. For a dated old car, it looked really nice. Beautiful iridescent green paint job on it, that as the car moved, the colors changed to a deep purple iridescent. He parked out by Ester's Kawasaki Ninja, and he came up, and the girls told him, "Hey, you've got a really nice looking car there. For an old car, it looks pretty good, but you've spent obviously a lot of money." And he said, "Well, my grandmother left me that, and I just truly love my grandmother so much that I want that car to last me for as long as possible. And I plan on keeping it for many, many years." And so then the three walked into Noah's Diner. Day and the other girls were waiting. They said, "Hey, because we have three new people here, why don't we all give a 1-minute biography of our lives? And I'll start." And so Day said, my mom and dad were born in North Korea, and they escaped about 18 years ago and came to this country when my mother was pregnant, and I was born here in Chicago. And since I was raised in this country, I very much think like an American, and my father often doesn't quite understand that all of my thinking is as an American and not a Korean, but he does love me very much, and so I think he tolerates a lot of things that I come up with. And she said, now with the guaranteed scholarships, I believe it's possible for me to attend college now and work to become a doctor. I'd like to be a doctor someday. And Chris York had been timing her at her own suggestion. So he said, time, and everybody was given 1 minute. And so they said, well, thank you, Chris. Who wants to be next? And Chris said, well, I'll go next. And he handed his watch to one of the girls, and she could time him. And Chris said, my mom dated the most wonderful man, and when she became pregnant, he wanted her to get an abortion, and that's when she found out that he wasn't such a wonderful person. And as a matter of fact, she found out, unknown to her, that he was already married. And so that relationship didn't work out. She ended it right then and there. And Chris said, I've always wanted to be an independent thinker and dress the way I chose to. And my mom was always good with that. And so At about the age of 7 or 8, she started sending me to defense classes. She told me that when you're different, a lot of people find that threatening for some reason. And so I should be capable of defending myself. And so I've had defense lessons for 12 years. He said, school is not that difficult for me, but I do study to earn good grades. And someone called time. And so then it went to Eve. And Eve said, my parents came from Mexico. They were migrant workers, and I was born in Texas. And once my parents became citizens, we moved to Chicago, and I've been here for most of my life. She said, and as I said, I was born in this country, so I'm a citizen too. But sometimes people see me and they question my citizenship, which is so crazy. And so I find school really easy. I think if with a scholarship, I think I'd like to become an educator. Maybe someday even take Mr. Mason's job, go into administration. And then someone called time again, and so the next person was Helen. Helen, well, she ended up telling everybody that school's easy for her. She's never taken a book home. She gets straight A's. Her parents immigrated from France, and she was born in Chicago like everyone else. And now with the guaranteed scholarship, Helen would like to become a mathematician, loves numbers, and that's very, very possible to do now. And so someone called time. Let's see, Eve. And Chris York. Chris. Let's see, the next person would be Chris with a K. Dave's one of Dave's original friends. She's never taken a book home either. Learns easily. And she'd like to become a design professional, especially in clothing. And so with the scholarship, she'd like to go to college and study design. And last but not least was Esther. And so Esther started to talk, and she explained that her dad had been born and raised in Chicago, but at 18, he joined the military and went into special forces. And while in China, met a very beautiful lady from Iceland, and they secretly married, which was against the military rules for special forces. And one day while on leave, my mother and father were out strolling through a village, and somebody shot at my mother and put a bullet in her head and killed her instantly. She was 9 months pregnant with me. My father quickly removed me from the womb, saving my life. And he kept my existence secret because you're not allowed to have family in the military, especially with you, and especially in the special forces. So he left me with some monasteries and saw to my education. And at about 2 or 3 years old, he hired special instructors to teach me English because I was learning Chinese, not doing real great in English. At about the age of 6, my father started taking me with him on some military assignments. He liked having me with him. He thought I could benefit from seeing the world. And usually these were quick tours. And often I would learn a foreign language if we were in another country. Most of the people with my father, his comrades, they all spoke at least 2 languages, some 3. And I learned many languages from these soldiers. And my father understood that I learned easily and I thirsted for knowledge, education, learning. And so he provided many, many instructors on different subjects to me. Not only in education, but in etiquette. And as all fathers, he worried about someday when men might start finding me attractive. So he had me trained in martial arts and military science. After all, he was in special forces. And so several months back, someone wanted to kill me, but unfortunately they missed, and the bullet killed my father. And today, that person is dead. And having said that, there was no reason for me to stay in China anymore, so I closed all affairs, packed up everything that I had, which isn't a whole lot, and came to Chicago because my dad's sister lives here. And my Aunt Brandy and I are going to live together now. We found a larger apartment, and hopefully things will go nice from now on. I know at that point, time had run over. Nobody said anything, and Day spoke up and said, "Esther, what do you want to do in life?" Oh, and Esther got excited and said, "I want to be a great chef. And hopefully, after graduating, I'll be accepted at a culinary school here in Chicago." They said, "Oh, that's good, because nowadays chefs can make a lot of money." And Esther said, "Well, I'm not so concerned about making a lot of money." She said, "I want to please people when they sit at my table and eat. I love making great food, delicious food that people enjoy. And so if I can accomplish that, I'm going to be very happy." And that's when they spoke up and said, "Well, for all of us, now that we have these scholarship opportunities, if we take advantage of them and find the jobs that we enjoy, hopefully that'll be putting us on the road to happiness for the rest of our lives." And so all the girls nodded, along with Chris York, and didn't say a thing. They were going to end their time at the diner at that moment and see each other tomorrow at school.